Hey everybody, and welcome to Hunto Plays Games. I hope you're doing well. Today I have a top 10 list video for you, and I've actually got a special guest. You care to say hello?
Hello.
Longtime viewers of the channel will recognize that that's Brent, who started our Xenogears playthrough over a year ago, and we're here today with our top 10 games that we've experienced on the Nintendo Switch. This doesn't have to be games that were released on Nintendo Switch, just games that we experienced for the first time playing on our Switch. We also have a friendly competition to see who knows each other better by guessing each other's top 10, and we'll reveal that after the last entry is done. So without further ado, we hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'm going to kick it over to Brent for his first game.
Alright, so number 10 on my list is, I'm starting off strong with a fun little indie game called Melatonin. And for those of you who don't know, Melatonin is a rhythm game. It's very reminiscent of the Rhythm Heaven series. It's a Nintendo IP, right?
I think it's developed by Intelligent Systems. So the same people do do they do WarioWare? I think they do. I think whoever does WarioWare also does Rhythm Heaven.
Yeah, but I fell in love with Rhythm Heaven Fever on the Wii, and I played that a lot, and Hunter knows how much I've played that, and so since there is no Rhythm Heaven game on the Switch,
there really should be. There really should be.
We need one, but since there's not one, I found this one, and it is almost exactly like Rhythm Heaven. The levels are the same. All the areas have the same kind of formula as Rhythm Heaven. Like you have like 4 unique levels, I guess, and then the 5th one of that area is like you combine all 4 things and put them all together in kind of like a medley of sorts. And it's just really fun. It made me feel like I was playing Rhythm Heaven again, and it's really well done. There's some harder ones. It's more than just pressing A. This one has like triggers and A and B and stuff.
Yeah, it's not just like not the just one button all the time. Yeah.
And it also has like you can pass each level with like an A or whatever, but like you can get S or perfect.
Right. Or you also get like a rating or a ranking of how you do. Yeah.
And so like for Rhythm Heaven, I try to get perfect because I'm that kind of person. For a rhythm game, I need it.
Yeah.
So I'm not a completionist for most things, but for rhythm games, I feel like I have to at least try.
I feel like we should say that both of us are musicians and have a musical background. Yes. So also I did look it up, but you were right. It's a Nintendo developed game. So that's really interesting. I put this on, I don't know if we're going to reveal where I put this on your rating. I didn't have it numbered, but I had this in your honorable mentions because I kind of thought you were going to forget about it.
Oh, wow. I'll put that as a half a point.
I think it's a half point. I did not play Melatonin as much as you, but I do remember you showing it to me, and like I'm a bigger fan of indies, I think, overall. Yeah. And so like I was really excited when that came out, but it wasn't something that like really grabbed my attention. I'm not as much of a Rhythm Heaven fan. I think I bought the game that you played, and like that's how you got it. And it's like I just kind of happened to have it. I think I literally bought it from GameStop when it was like one of those like buy 2 get 1 free type things, or buy one get like 2 free or something. And I got it for like $1. Yeah. So at the time of recording, it was going for like $300 or $400 recently, which is bonkers. Crazy. But I mean, it's a really good series. It's something that I'm like embarrassingly not good at.
Because you're a musician.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't ever get it. But I did suspect Melatonin would make it if you remembered, and I just kind of thought that like maybe you would move more, maybe your brain would go towards more like AAA titles instead of like an indie style. But I'm happy to see Melatonin on the list as your number 10. Although I've only played a very, very small amount of it and was not good at it, I think it's a good place to start for our top 10.
Yeah.
So
you can keep that assumption for the rest of the
list. All right. So my number 10 is something that may have some recency bias for me, but I actually just finished playing Eastward. And so my number 10 entry is going to be Eastward.
See, I didn't know you had finished that.
I know, so I kind of kept it hidden so that way you...
very secretive. Well, keep that point from me.
It's technically the review is in my spreadsheet, so you wanted to check. I almost texted you the other day and I was just like, I'm not going to say it. I need all the points I can get.
Dirty.
Eastward was something that I picked up on Black Friday because it was on sale. And I thought it was, I've heard that it's a good indie, but I never hear anybody talk about it. And that's why I wanted to include it on our list today. And I was just really surprised. I think you might like it. It has similar combat to like 2D top-down Zelda. So like you're kind of like more like hack and slash, kind of like 2D sprites. But it is a beautifully detailed game. Like every nook and cranny has like details, and there's like, you know, so many small little intricacies that are sprinkled throughout the game. As far as visually goes, like, I mean, you go into a house and like you go into somebody's room, there's dirty socks like on the floor, like just like the rug is not just like a default rug texture. One of the corners might be folded up and it might have a spot where it looks lighter from wear. I mean, it's just like little tiny things. The world just feels lived in to me. I thought that the soundtrack was also really enjoyable. I haven't listened to it like outside of the context to the game, but you kind of, the story is you have an adoptive daughter, Sam, and your protagonist's name is John. John is a silent protagonist, which I know a lot of people don't like silent protagonists in their game, but it's not something that really is triggering to me. And then as you go throughout the game, you're kind of going from town to town, seeing different NPCs and kind of learning about the area that they live in and their society. And there's a lot of heartfelt moments in this game with sadness and with, like, you know, happiness as well. So to me, this is kind of a game that really shares a feeling in my brain with Mother 3, which I don't say lightly. Like Mother 3 I played a long time ago at this point, probably close to 12 years, and it's one of those games where it has this like kind of bright, colorful, cute aesthetic. They're both in like pixel styles, but it just will absolutely punch you in the gut. And I wouldn't say, like, I know you're somebody who loves like lore and like deep kind of big twists. There are twists, and there are, like, the lore is more hinted at than it is told, and it can kind of feel like the game kind of meanders a little bit instead of like telling a cohesive narrative. Each town kind of feels like its own like story, if that makes sense, and it doesn't necessarily give you a whole lot of answers as to why things happen the way they do. But just because I feel like it has that same heart and feeling to me in my brain of Mother 3, I wanted to talk about it today, and especially since I feel like it's never brought up, you know, like I never hear anybody talk about it, but it's almost like a little action RPG. So it only took me like 22 hours to beat. I think you can buy it and the DLC for like $27, so
that's not bad.
I think it's like pretty good. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I really liked it.
It was funny because I put that on my wish list as soon as it got announced, but I just never ended up buying it or playing it because that studio made what other game?
Well, it's published by Chucklefish, which also published Stardew Valley. Yeah. But it's not the same developer. I think this was made by a group of like 4 friends in like Shanghai or something like that, from what I understand. But it was made by a group of 4 friends. And it's like similar visual identity. It's an indie pixel game. Yeah. But it's not by the Stardew Valley guy. Yeah, I think I wish I'd hear people talk about it more. I tried to listen to a couple reviews after I was done, and I feel like a lot of people either called it a flawed masterpiece or something that really wasn't their cup of tea. But I really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting much out of it. I just like kind of put it in because I'd bought it, and it was kind of during my winter break before my job kind of started back up, and like I really enjoyed it. I think it, like I said, really the heart of like there's these kind of over the top zany characters. And then over the course of the game, you kind of get the rug swept from under you, and it's just like, oh. I won't share too much to spoil anything else, but there's some really emotional moments in there. So, cool. I guess that one was not on your list.
No, it wasn't, you cheater. But now for the game that I secretly finished and didn't tell Hunter about. I'm just kidding. I have not finished what I'm currently playing yet. So number 9?
Number 9.
All right, number 9 on my list is Final Fantasy VII, because I played it on Switch for the first time not but 4 years ago. 5 years ago, maybe even. But I put it on there because I was like, oh, this was my first Final Fantasy game, but it's not. No. 12 was my first one. But 7 stuck with me a lot more. I love 12. I thought about putting that one on this list too, but I put 7 because I fell in love with the characters so much. Yeah. And the story, and there's not much that I need to say that people haven't already said about Final Fantasy VII, but I love Aerith so much. She's my favorite, and I will always try to get the date with Aerith instead of Tifa.
I got the date with Barrett. I'm pretty sure in my playthrough.
That's good. And having played that, because I played that first right before the remakes came out, and that just made me appreciate the remakes even more.
Yeah.
And I love the remakes so much. I love the first one too, and that was like the first time trying the actual like active time battle. Like system, because 12 didn't use that.
12 has that like.
Well, I mean, it has like a bar, but it has the gambits and all that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, and I like that system, the ATV system. It's kind of, to me, it feels a little bit more of a hybrid of turn-based and action a little bit, just because you're not fully just waiting.
Yeah.
Because like you do wait, but then like, you can go.
Yeah, I played Chrono Trigger for the first time, and that was my first real instance of having the ATB. And there's like, I think I always viewed it as, why are you making me wait to do my turn? But there is some like interesting push and pull of like, at least in Chrono Trigger, of like, oh, okay, I can, like in Chrono Trigger, multiple units can team up to do a super move or like a more powerful move. Is like, if I wait, I can do that super move, but if I use that super move, then two of my guys are going to be having to wait, and so you're more vulnerable. And so I kind of feel like I have a little bit more appreciation for that ATB system. And when I played through Final Fantasy VII the first time, I like put the hyper mode on and just kind of went through. So
because I did play it on the Switch, I did have that like × speed mode, and then the like you can press like one of the triggers or something, and it'll feel all of your
like special or whatever it is.
Yeah, the
ultimate attack or
the bar, whatever. And so like it fills those all the way up. It fills your health up. And while I tried not to do that as much as possible, because that's kind of cheating, I did it sometimes for healing only, and I was trying not to use the special move. What is it called?
Is it on special?
Limit break. Yes, limit break. That AKA so it would fill up your limit break. It's the same thing, but like they call it limits.
Yeah.
So I would like try not to, but I did use the 3 speed a lot because it's just for grinding and to get from one place to another. It just helped a lot. But so yeah, that game really stuck with me. The like sci-fi story, I really liked it. And then One Winged Angel is just, the music in general just in that game is really good, but One Winged Angel is just iconic.
I had that you were going to put Final Fantasy 12 on the list.
You picked 12.
I picked 12, and I picked 12 because, one, you're not a classic RPG fan. Like you're just like, you don't like grinding, you don't like random encounters, and so it makes sense that using the 3 speed kind of helped you get through that. And I also thought that you would put 12 because you liked the remakes more than the original, or like have enjoyed going through the remake. So like 12 is an experience you only had on Switch.
I see.
So I think 7's great. I played it on Switch also. I unashamedly used the ×3 speed and the boost through most of the story. I was just kind of there for the plot. I didn't really necessarily care to experience the game, I guess, which is that kind of bad, but like experience the game in the way it was intended. I wanted to just kind of get through the story, especially before the remakes were done, because I knew you would be playing through them and I was going to kind of get spoiled on some of it anyway. So definitely deserving, although I am a little upset you didn't go with 12, but that's okay. That's all right.
I'm just more invested in it because I almost put 12. But then I was just like, I was invested in the story more, and the characters more in 7, which is a little bit more important to me than the gameplay. Turn-based gameplay is boring to me sometimes, but so the gambit system was really fun, but it actually ended up being boring too. So once you get all of it set up and you just walk up to enemies and they just like destroy them, and you're like, okay, what next?
You just like take pride,
keep walking,
and, take pride in your
I was like not actively doing anything anymore. But anyways, we're not talking about fuck right now.
That's funny, or I guess at all.
Or
you said you replaced it.
I did replace it.
That was all you get for our thoughts.
Yep.
Final Fantasy 12.
So we'll not be coming back to.
That's funny. All right, this one I think should be pretty much a gimme. Number 9 for me is Balatro.
Dang it, because I put that on your list too and I took it off. I was like, it's too new. I don't think it's his top 10.
Here's the thing.
That's why I took it off.
Here's the thing about Balatro. I can see it having some sticking power with me. And that was like the thing is like, and I don't know that, but like, we bought it in November and it's currently January, and I think we have like 40 hours in it. And like that's a lot for a little like pick up and play a couple rounds indie game, and I like that it's solo developed. I like that it celebrates other indies, and the like you can change the way your like Jack, King, Queen looks on the different suits, and there's like Among Us and Stardew Valley and 1,000 Times Resist. Like, it's really interesting to me that, you know, he was able to get partnerships with those being like a solo dev. I am a big fan of board games. My family plays a lot of board games, and I still think part of the reason I like Balatro so much is that it feels slightly board gamey. Like when you're building your engine, building your deck, and like, you know, we've played a lot of deck building games, stuff like Aeon's End and playing like the Lord of the Rings LCG, and to me, like that kind of building your deck and changing your deck to try to overcome an obstacle is like what I like in a lot of board games. Dominion even is a deck building game, you know, where you're not necessarily going through a story component, but you're building a deck as you go. And so I kind of feel like you're tweaking this thing that everybody knows is a deck of cards. And if you've ever played Yahtzee or poker, you'll be familiar with the hands. And if not, you know, there's a handy way to just look at it. But it's just like, it takes all of these elements and makes it a roguelike, which is not one of my favorite genres. I'm not a big roguelike fan, but like, it really does, to me, gamify this like standard Yahtzee type game. It's like, you know, Yahtzee on crack. You know, you're like, you've got these jokers that we're like, oh, okay, you know, if you play a 2-pair, we'll give you extra points, and every time you play a 2-pair, we'll give you even more points. It's just like the thought of that would have never entered my brain, but it's so addicting to play. And I love that it's super easy to pick up. It's one of the few games I like to collect physical games. I don't collect every physical game, but it's one of the ones that I wish I had bought digitally, just so it's always on my Switch and I never have to put the cartridge in. Because it's just like, right now I had played Eastward, which I had physically. I was like, oh, maybe I'll play around a Balatro, and I'm like, oh, I gotta put the card in, which is like such a silly reason, but it's like, it's so good. I wish it was always on my Switch.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of like, there are a couple games I feel that way about, but Balatro is one of the ones more recently. But yeah, I think you've played it with me before, and I think you like enjoyed it at the very least.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. I played an entire. I went all through all the antes, all 8 antes. Yeah. With you one time, and then I played half of one. Yep. On New Year's. And it's just so fun. I can't get myself to stop, really. Like on New Year's, you were like, okay, we'll play maybe 2 bosses, and we ended up at 4, and I tried to keep going to 5. I was just like, it's just, once you get it going, it's hard to stop. Yeah. Like, it's so. I really like it too. I need to purchase it. You should. I still haven't. I got an eShop gift card for Christmas, and that's what I'm gonna spend it on.
I will say, you didn't start at the beginning of the game, but what I do like too is there's incentive to keep coming back. Like, you kind of keep unlocking things as you play, and the jokers are more powerful or more varied as you go. Because like when you first start out, and I want to say it's boring, but it's really challenging because you don't have anything unlocked. Right. You don't have any of the like crazy jokers, and like, I'm not somebody. I've seen videos where people get like 4.9 E error, and it has like numbers that like go across the screen, and I can beat the 8 antes. I can maybe get into the free play mode, but I'm not somebody who's like, I would say, super good at breaking the game. But it is a really enjoyable experience. I like that it's a pick up and play. I like that my wife and I can sit on the couch and be like, you know, playing it together and be like, okay, maybe we should go for this thing, maybe we shouldn't. But I think, you know, as you play, that first experience might take you a couple hands to kind of get the momentum going in the game. But once you're unlocking jokers and they have even crazier abilities, and you figure out, you know, our biggest thing at the beginning was that you can move the jokers around, and that impacts your scores, because like we were just buying them and they were going up there and maybe weren't super optimized, but we were still having fun. And so like, I feel like I keep learning little tricks about it that make it even more enjoyable. So for me, I see it sticking around. I've heard that there's supposed to be a big update to it at some point this year. I don't know what that means, but I've not looked too much into it, but I'm excited for whatever's next. I hope, you know, even more of the Friends of Jimbo, I think is what they call them, the Friends of Jimbo packs where they represent the indies. I think that's really cool. Yeah. It would be fun to see an Eastward pack. Cool. So I don't know if that's very likely, but seeing as I have 2 indies back to back, it would be cool. So anyway, all right. I think that brings us to your number 8.
Yep. My number 8. Okay, don't get mad at me, but my number 8 is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. And I only say that because I figured Hunter had that on his list too. And we tried to make 20 unique games. We tried not to have any overlap. And like, truthfully, he should have this on his list and I shouldn't, but it's still in my top 10 favorite Switch games that I've played. So, because I mean, Hunter's the one that got me into Fire Emblem. He's played a lot more games than I have, Three Houses was the first one that I played by myself, and I got all the way through one, because my first one you and I played together.
Yeah, we played Path of Radiance, or Radiant Dawn.
Awakening was my first attempt.
Oh yeah, I tried to get you into Awakening.
And then I was so bad at it. And then we did Path of Radiance together.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped me like figure out how to do the heck to do.
Yeah.
And
how to Fire Emblem.
Yeah. And then Three Houses I did it, and I just love it. I like the gameplay loop of the calendar, like at the school, like during the day, which is like feels like a Persona game. And then going into the grid battles or whatever, like normal. And then just finding characters. Like one of my favorite things was having Lysithea, and then get her the relic, the like relic that makes her attack move like 2 more times more squares away. Is so good because she's so powerful every time. And just like building stuff like that, it's just like really fun. I did Golden Deer all the way through, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can go back and do it, I have gone back a lot, but I don't think I've finished another route. But which is another thing that Hunter's played all 3 routes or 4,
and the DLC.
Yeah, he's mad. He could have told me to take it off.
I was trying to be nice. I'm glad that Fire Emblem. For you. I'm glad that Fire Emblem Three Houses on your list. It was my number 5, so I'm glad you didn't enjoy it as much as I did. But I have a distinct memory of just like being utterly like enthralled in this game. Like I played literally all 3 routes back to back to back, and then I think last year or the year before I went back and finally played the Cindered Shadows DLC, and I think I've played enough of that game. I do really like it a lot. I think it's one of the better Fire Emblems on the system, even though it's maybe not representative of the series as a whole. The Garrick Mach is not something that's in every Fire Emblem game. I loved the customization of units in this game. That was something that I thought was just like so cool. I had played the routes kind of traditionally up until my 3rd or 4th route, and then I think it was Golden Deer was my last route I did, and I decided to make everybody a Wyvern Knight. I even had Raphael, who doesn't have, or Raphael, whatever his name is. I think that might be his. The big guy, big blonde guy. Yeah, he's like supposed to be like a knight or something. I was even able to get his riding proficiency enough to where he was a Wyvern Knight. Petra is always the person to me who sticks out as being just like an incredible unit. Yes. I think I had her in more than one route. I would recruit her, and I didn't do that for very many. But yeah, I love that game. I love the customization. It kind of felt sandboxy. Like, here's your units, you can basically make them be whatever you want them to be. Also, I really like the cast of Blue Lions. That was my first route. I know that's probably like a hot take. I think everybody kind of generally likes the cast of Golden Deer a little bit more, but I just really like the reveal of the villain in that route is really powerful, and also the implications that it has for that route's main character. And just seeing that, I think there are some things like with the story, like if I went back, is it the best story? No, but do I feel like it has a lot to offer? I still think it's fun. I think the story's pretty good, but at the end of the day, like the combat, I kind of had thought that you might put Engage, which is why I put Three Houses, because I think you liked Engage a lot more than I did.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And so like it was just interesting to me. I'm glad that you've played a couple Fire Emblems and you've liked them, but Three Houses to me was just like definitely one of the best experiences on the Switch that you can get in like the strategy RPGs and kind of like grid-based combat. So.
Yes. For that one, is because it's my first one that I played by myself, it's special to me in that way. And I know like Engage is a little bit more back to like a traditional way of playing like a Fire Emblem game playing out, because there's like 3.5, 4 routes to do in Three Houses. That's if I'm ever in a Fire Emblem mood, I can turn on Three Houses and be doing something new.
Right.
You know, not playing the game over again. Well, the first half is kind of the same.
Right.
But once the time skip happens, it's different. Yeah, it's just that I can go back to it easily. Yeah. If I'm ever getting the itch and don't want to play
Engage.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm excited to see what the next Fire Emblem's going to be. You know, that's kind of like not what we're talking about, but we had the Warriors games and we had the Three Hopes games, and then we had Three Houses, and they released like the special version of like Shadow Dragon that was like the NES port, but like, you know, there's a ton of games that I feel like, you know, they put Luigi's Mansion HD 2 or Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on Switch. Like, come on, put Awakening on there. Put Shadows of Valencia. I think that game is so good. It is so good. It has some of the best voice acting, I think. Like, oh my goodness. And like, put them on the Switch. Put them on Switch too. Like, they're dipping into some of the 3DS titles. Like Xenoblade Chronicles, it was a 3DS game. They put it on Switch. But you know, I think there's a well there of really good Fire Emblems on the DS that they could go to. And I mean, Conquest and Birthright, what are those called? Fire Emblem Fates. Those are also games that could be put in a triple pack. You know, I personally hope that they'll go into either a new title and they'll do like a Shadows of Valencia type remake of maybe something like Tracia or something that hasn't been released before, maybe even Roy's Story, or I'd even love a game. Yeah, I think that's is that Tracia or is that Genealogy of the Holy War? Yes. Yeah, Genealogy of the Holy War. I kind of would love the Tellius games, the Ike, Radiant Dawn, and Path of Radiance to be, you know, remade and made available. So there's some really good games also. But this is not a wish list; it's a top 10 list. So let's move to my number 8, which is also ironically an RTS. So you did a strategy game, and I did Mario's plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Okay. I did not put that on yours. I thought about it, but I was like, I don't know if you like that game enough.
I put it on there because you put Fire Emblem, and I think it's a game that looks like it's kiddie, but it's not. Yeah, you know, it's one of those, like, if you saw it in the store, you'd like, okay, this is Mario, and then you play it and it's XCOM. You know, and so like I've never played an XCOM before. A friend of ours, Jordan, has played XCOM before, and it's brutal. Mario and Rabbids is not as brutal as XCOM. You're not going to suddenly lose Luigi because, you know, he got an unfortunate dice roll or something. Like, it's not that intense, but the combat style is kind of like inspired by XCOM. And so for me, I really enjoyed it. I think that, again, Mario and Rabbids are not the first collab I would have thought of. Like putting those two together, but I think it works. There's like some really zany humor with Mario and the Rabbids that kind of go well together, and I think that the gameplay is really well done. To see Mario and the crew with guns is really funny. Like, Mario just like straight up just shoots people in this game, and like the fact that Luigi is a sniper feels right to me. I don't know why, but it does. Like, Luigi being a sniper is just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think you can tell by the music in the game and the details and the graphics how much love they put into making this game. It feels like a first-party Nintendo game, even though it's made by Ubisoft. The musical number with the Ghost Rabbid, I mean, like, that's like one of the crazy things that come out of this game, but I think it's really good. I also like how they kind of take elements from Mario and incorporate it in a strategy game. I like that they reward you through movement. Like, you can have players jump off of, or you can have characters jump off of other characters' heads that will heal them. That's cool. That will remove, you know, debuffs if you're poisoned or if you're frozen or whatever. You can run into enemies and like dash through them to do a little bit of chip damage. I love that on the enemy turn you can set up your people to attack on enemy turns, so that way you're doing damage when it's not your go. I think there's a lot of stuff to really love about it. I never finished the Donkey Kong DLC. I've tried to play it a couple times and it just like never stuck, but like the core game, I think if you're looking for something a little bit different that also I don't think really gets talked about all that much, I think the first Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle is it. I've not played the Sparks of Hope, I think is what the next one is called. I'd be interested to try it. It looks like they changed some things up, but I can tell you that I really enjoyed the Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Like I said, I think it's a weird combo, but I think it works.
Yeah, I played it too. I don't think I finished it, but I played a good bit of it, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know, it was just one of those things that I just kind of bought because it was on sale, I think, and I just played it when I bought it, and I was like into it until something better came along, you know, just one of those things. I would be interested in going back and finishing it. I don't remember seeing that in my, because I was going through all my library, and I don't remember seeing that anywhere.
Maybe you have to go back and download it. Maybe you've not tried it.
I went through that again.
And it wasn't there?
I went to re-download software.
Weird.
So
did you have a physical or was it digital?
I think it was digital because it was an eShop sale.
I know, but I think they may have delisted the original and then put in like this golden version. So I don't know if that maybe is what happened. Maybe. I don't know.
I'll look again. I could have overlooked it.
Yeah.
But I think it was fun. It's a good game. Yeah. And the Sparks of Hope, the second one, I think they changed up the way they move, which is interesting. It looked good actually.
Yeah,
like it looked really interesting. I'd be interested in try that too at some point. But
I don't know if it's the same, but the movement kind of reminded me of Valkyria Chronicles, where you kind of have a set amount of space you can move in, and like, I know it's not exactly
freely.
the same, but you can move a little bit more freely.
In the first one, you had to move on blocks.
It was grid based. Right? Yeah, it was grid based. So you only had you can move 8 tiles. You know, if you on tile 3 hit an enemy, you could dash through them and go around, or you could bounce off of somebody to get a little bit more range. But yeah, the cover system, like where you're kind of halfway or full behind cover, I think that's like better than being like you have an 82% chance.
Right.
Of,
It could be any number
like whatever, whatever that
Yeah.
is. But I think it's an interesting game that a lot of people talk about. I think it's fun. You can definitely get it on sale. Ubisoft normally puts their stuff on pretty cheap, and so if you're looking for something to play that's an unlikely collaboration between Mario and Rabbids, I think you should check it out.
All right, so for my number 7, I have Animal Crossing New Horizons.
I did not have that on my list.
For me? Oh, interesting. I love this game. I like it. I put a lot of hours into it because it's just, I don't know, it's just a nice game to go back to. Like, you can't, I mean you can like 100% it, I guess.
Right. Collecting all the furniture,
get all the
museum
recipes
or whatever.
All this stuff. And I'm not really seeking out to do that.
Right.
Because there's a good bit of things to do, I would think. Or at least I feel like there's a lot more like recipes and stuff that I could get, that I don't. But I just enjoy playing it and going fishing.
Yeah.
Like I finished my museum, but or almost. I think there's a few bugs that I haven't get because I don't play the game in the same part of the year every year. So like the late summer bugs or something I don't usually get because I usually turn this game on in like the fall and the spring.
Yeah, you want something like a chill, slow pace vibe in the middle of summer. Yeah.
I don't play it typically in like winter. So like some of the winter bugs I probably don't have, but if I'm ever sometimes I'm just in a mood and I'll play it for a while, and it's just fun just to do the mundane things that I always do. Get a different recipe here and there, like that's cool. Yeah. But changing my island to like decorate for a holiday, I love Christmas time and Halloween. Yep. Those are my 2 favorite holidays, and so like decorating my island for Halloween is so much fun.
Go all out.
Yes, I know how to go all out. So and it's just walking around fishing. Yeah. It was like fun. I played New Leaf on the DS, 3DS I guess, and then I played the very first one on GameCube, like back in the day, like when it first came out. And me and my sister played that one together a lot. We just like took turns holding the controller. I've liked Animal Crossing for a while, and New Horizons, it came out right at the beginning of the pandemic. I know like a lot of people were playing that in quarantine, and it was a really good quarantine game, but I didn't like really get bored of it to where like I don't want to go back. Like I could turn it on now and have fun. Like there's nothing about it that makes me like eh. Yeah.
I think I feel a little differently. I liked New Leaf a lot better. That was my first Animal Crossing. I feel like while you don't have as much customization, there was like a bigger diversity of like fruits, and there were like the like game island that you could go to. And I know they've added some stuff since I last played Animal Crossing, but it just felt a little bit more like dollhousey maybe. Like this is how I'm gonna make my town and make my house and make my villagers. And not that the customization was bad, because it is frustrating like in the older games where you get somebody you don't like in your town. But I also think it's that's part of the fun, right? Like you don't always get the people that you want in your town. You have to deal with like, I don't know, Chuckles the pig who has a beard or whatever. Like I don't know, like Beardo, whatever his name is. Like I like him, but I don't think he's very popular. He's like got his belly out and sideburns and a mustache, but he's funny. Like I don't know if I would have like gone for him at first, but I don't know. It was just one of those games. Like it was great in the pandemic. I know my parents like that was the only game they played for the Switch forever, and I think they basically left it on like all day. And they had like 2,000 hours or something in Animal Crossing. And like I kind of like I enjoy the social aspect of it, especially during the pandemic, to send mail and like, oh, you have this fruit or you have that. But I feel like because of the pandemic, it burned too quick. and I don't know what the next Animal Crossing really, like, I can't pinpoint what needs to change for me to be more interested in it. It was just like, I think I'd played what I was going to play of Animal Crossing in a condensed amount of time because of the pandemic. And so I think it's a beautiful game. That's one of the things my mom always mentions is like, when is the next Animal Crossing coming out? Because it has great graphics, and it's like, they're really cute, really clear. I think it does a lot of that really well. I think the soundtrack's really good. I like putting that on when I work, kind of the background sounds. But it was just something that didn't, unfortunately, have a whole lot of staying power with me. I think I've tried to go back to my island or whatever before, but it just didn't. I was just like, I could play another farming type game, or like a farm sim type game like Stardew Valley or something else, and it just didn't have that sticking power for me. But I'm glad you like it.
Terraforming is another thing that is really cool about this game that I like. I can put a waterfall wherever I want.
Yeah.
And like, it's really cool. And I built my house on like this big like waterfall mountain, or like I put it at the very top corner of my island, and I was able to like make a walkway with these waterfalls and go around it and make this whole big old thing, and it's just really fun to be able to do that.
Yeah. I remember you tried to make it like a sanctuary, a way so your villagers could never get to your house.
Yes, I did make it hidden. I put a wall up around the whole thing, and there's like a 1 square walkthrough between cliffs that you have to get to it. And like I could make that cliff, full and like have to climb over it, but that's too much. So I just made like a walkway so I could walk through instead of having to grab my ladder and every time. But and then the extra stuff, the DLC, the Happy Home Designer,
I
is
didn't
really
play
fun.
any of that at all. I think I quit before that came out.
Yeah, it's really neat because it like gives you a theme that you want to decorate by, and you like make their little house for them. It's just really fun. I just like all the characters, and they're all cute, and I just like it. I picked it because it's something that I can continuously go back to.
Yeah,
I think I said that about Fire
I was gonna say a theme.
I know.
Going on. Evergreen content.
It means a lot to me, I think. Apparently.
Well, I think it's interesting you went kind of for a chill vibe for your number 7, and I did the same. I did Animal Crossing that's on the Japanese only. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. I went with another indie. I went with Toem, which I don't know if you knew that I played that game or don't.
No,
maybe
I knew you played it. The little turtle guy with the camera.
Yeah, I thought Toem is. I was at first going to put a short hike, and then I said those two games feel very similar to me, and I never hear anybody talk about Toem, so I'm going to be the person that talks about Toem. I just think it's a great game that I don't ever really hear anybody talk about. I think it's a very chill. It's not very challenging. You kind of go through town to town, trying to, I guess, complete quests, and the quests are silly. Some of them will be like find somebody's pair of socks, or they'll be maybe take a picture of a secret location or something like that. And so you're kind of exploring this world, and you're interacting with the NPCs, and they're all different in each environment, and you have a camera, so it's kind of similar to Pokemon Snap, where you're kind of taking pictures, and you have a compendium that I completed. Love a compendium in a game. And I think it's also really friendly to, like, if you skip something, you come back to it, there's no punishment for having progressed to the next city. It's not a like you have to do this before you leave or you'll never get to do it again. I think I won't spoil the ending of that game, but I think it's a really great way to kind of complete the journey of playing the game. It has a really beautiful, like, black and white hand-drawn aesthetic in it. And it's not very long. I think it's only like 4 to 5 hours, which I think is like a really great spot for a video game. And the DLC was free, and it was a lot of fun too. It changed up a little bit about it. And it's one of the rare games that I can say I've 100%ed, and I 100%ed the DLC. Like, it's got a really easy way to track your objectives, and it wasn't punishing, like I said, about missing objectives, so you could come back and do things. And actually, while I was doing a little bit of research for this, I found out 3 weeks ago they announced that Toem 2 is in development. So there's going to be a second one, which is kind of exciting. But again, like, I think A Short Hike is a great game. I really love that game. It looks like a Nintendo DS game, but Toem is, like, I think just as good, and nobody ever talks about it. I think it's a great game that you could pick up and play, and even if you don't complete it, you could have a good time with.
Yeah. See, I put A Short Hike on your list.
There you go.
Because you talk about that more.
Yeah. See,
To me.
I'm trying to become Become the change you want to see.
Okay, so is this not a top 10?
It is. I'm just kidding. It is, but it's also like, if you're going to talk about something that like not everybody's talked about before. That's how I felt, right? I was like, I did Eastward. Nobody ever talks about Eastward. I think Eastward's really great. I think that Toem's also really great. I think A Short Hike's also really good. But like, I felt like A Short Hike people at least would maybe have heard of. And by you thinking that I put it on the list got me to talk about it just a little bit. So my ploy word, I guess. I got 2 for the price of 1. But Short Hike's really good too. But I really enjoyed it. And I think a 4 to 5 hour game. I really like an indie to cleanse my palate between RPGs and give me a different experience. I think Toem was really great. So you're up next.
Number 6 for me.
Number 6.
Here's we started. This is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Woo! That's a point for me.
Oh, okay. So you got 1.5 now. Did you put Animal Crossing on your list for me?
Mm-mm.
Oh, interesting.
I did not.
Okay.
I think I put a game that you may have forgotten. I don't know that you've forgotten it. I also maybe you played it and didn't think it was as good as I thought you thought it was. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we still have 5 more after this. Xenoblade. Oh, of course. So anyone who knows me, I don't shut up talking about Xenoblade Chronicles.
This is where we reached the 4-hour mark of the podcast. Where we started the Xenoblade entries.
At a time, 4 hours per game.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but Xenoblade 2 is, I kind of have like a story with all 3. Well, maybe not all 3. The first 2 definitely, but 2 I tried to play it. I think I started it twice. And was interrupted by things like one time I got COVID. Yeah. And then I realized that I cannot play this RPG and like have to pay attention to what's going on and all this stuff while I had COVID brain. Yeah. It's impossible. And so I stopped. And then I tried another time and I can't remember what happened, but I stopped.
COVID again.
Could have been. Literally could have been.
Could have been.
But then the second time the third time I've played it, I was able to, get get the thing rolling, the ball rolling, and go all the way to the end, and it's so good. I will say it's my least favorite of the 3, but just for the serious parts are really, really good. The silly parts are too silly for me, and I know a lot of people have really intense complaints about that, but I'm not complaining about that much, as much as they are. Like, I don't care as much as those people do. It seems, especially the people who like complain on Twitter and stuff about it. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. Yeah. But just that it exists, right, just knocks it down to the third in the Xenoblade list. But watching the end, having played the first game, was just incredible. Yeah. Like, it's so good. And
spoiler territory.
I know that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say anything else. But it's just like a lot of what I want to talk about is spoilery.
I think I would phrase that ending as, if you have played games in the series, the payoff of playing Xenoblade 2 is
incredible.
It is magnified.
It's so good. Yeah. Like it's fine by itself. Right. But if you played 1 first, that elevates your experience like 1,000%.
But imagine if you played 2 first and then went back to 1, you'd be like,
I mean, it works that way, but like, it's not as good. I don't think it's not as impactful the other way around.
Are you gatekeeping my Xenoblade experience? Are you gatekeeping the series? What if I want to start with 3?
Do not start with 3.
Don't worry, I'm gonna gatekeep here in a little bit. Just give you.
You have to play it in the numerical order. Okay, that's a whole video in itself. But 2's just really good. The combat system is so good. It's so fun. The blade combos that you can do, and you can stack your elemental orbs on the enemy, and I always, for like the big enemies, I try to get one orb of all the elements at one time, and then I would go in and try to crush them all, and it's just so much fun. Yeah. And although Rex is like a lot of times my least favorite character in this game, he has an incredible arc. I think he does really grow from where we started.
I think that kind of component's lost a lot. Yeah, people want the character who's already a little bit heroic, and Rex is literally a kid.
Right, he's a child, and they write him like a child.
Yeah.
So like, go in knowing that. But.
So I think that's, to me, like, you know, voice direction, etc. People aren't the biggest fan of all that, but I just think, like, to me, 2 is one of my favorites. It is still maybe my favorite Xenoblade game, and so I intentionally didn't put it on my list because I knew you would put it on yours. Mine would have been higher. I think 2 would have been higher. 2 is the game for me in the Xenoblade series where I was like, oh, I like these. I played 1 because you wanted me to.
Right, yeah, I forced you.
And then I played 2, I guess just to keep up. I think around that time, Pyra and Mythra were announced as Smash.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. People say it's one of the best ones, and I loved it. It's got fan service, it's got goofiness, it's got, you know, a lot of this stuff that a lot of people have a lot of problems with, but I didn't care and don't care. I like it. It's one of my favorites. I don't know, I can't say it's a better game than maybe other entries in the series, like specifically 3. I think there's a lot about it I had a unique experience. You were playing it at the same time. You kind of helped me understand how the orbs worked. I could see if you hadn't had that knowledge, where like the game really doesn't explain that well.
It's really bad tutorials.
So like, I think having played it at the same time with you, and you give me little hints every now and again about, hey, this is how this system works, I think was really great and enhanced my experience. I mean, like, I remember there was something like they were talking about the pouch system, and it was like, oh, that's just that's like not even important. And then you get to a quest and it's like, you've not leveled up your affinity by putting stuff in a pouch enough. I was like, what's going on? And so like, it's like a barrel of snakes with its system. It's just like wriggling around, and they've got all these systems, but it's good. It's good. But it's good. It's real good, Steve. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's I don't know. It was the game to me that confirmed that I like Xenoblade, because I don't think 1 would make my top 10,
right,
which is like, you know, probably blasphemous, because I think 1 is the one that everybody likes, but 2 is the one that cemented like, hey, I actually like this, and 3 is like, I think the culmination of everything that they learned, and I won't speak more to that because I'm sure we'll be talking more about 3 later. But 2 for me would be higher on the list, and my list, I always felt like I really want to put this on there because like I know it was like an important game for me on the Switch. But I'm glad it was on your list. And like the music, I just want to say, like, I think like the music is the best in the series. Like there's this meme, like every time I see it, I think about Xenoblade 2 is the like composer sitting down at the piano on the beach, and it's like exploded. Like that is how they wrote every track in Xenoblade 2. Good. I mean, like, literally every track slaps.
Every area is unique and different and fun. Like songs.
Moradane. It's like they just the Praetorium.
Yes.
Amalthus in the Praetorium is like beautiful. It's like, what is this doing in a video game?
Right, I know.
Like, it's so good. And I know like we won't speak too much on all the DLCs, but Torna, I think, is the strongest of the DLCs up until maybe 3. I think 3's DLC was maybe better, but I think Torna is like a really big improvement from what we saw, even though it was made before in Xenoblade 1 DE. I don't think the post game
it did come out before DE.
But I think it's really substantial. I kind of sometimes jokingly but not suggest, like, if you're not sure you want to play a Xenoblade game, try Torna. It's short. I know that's like probably not the best advice, but it's short. It gives you a taste of what the game and combat is like. You know, if you're somebody who doesn't love long games, you know, I think that if you were curious, that would be one that, and you can buy it separately. It's not one where you have to have the other game.
The only one.
Yeah, the only
in the
one.
Series that you can buy separately. But yeah, I kind of took the DLCs into account. With these 2, so like this is basically like
2 would have been even lower.
Plus Torna.
2 would have been even lower without Torna.
It might have been
coming in at number 10. Xenoblade 2.
It might have been, but no, Torna's really good, especially in the context of the main story. The main game story. It's really good. It makes me cry. In the end of Xenoblade 2, sobbing for days.
All right. Well, I've got my number 6 here, and if you didn't put this on my list, I think we're going to question the rest of the episode. It is an indie that doesn't feel like an indie, in my opinion, and it's Hollow Knight.
Okay, I did put that one. And this was like one of the only ones I was like, I'm not sure if you liked that game enough. But I kept it because I thought you did. So.
I did.
1 point for me.
I think Hollow Knight is so challenging.
Yes.
I think it's a hard game. It may be one of the harder games, maybe the hardest game that's on my list. And I'm not one who's like a glutton for punishment. Like I don't play like the Dark Souls games. I kind of stick to the stuff that I'm comfortable with. And I played Hollow Knight in the middle of a Metroid binge. I think I'd played Super Metroid. I think I'd played Samus Returns. I think I played Zero Mission. And then I think I played Hollow Knight. And then, like, I waited a couple months because I had played Hollow Knight, and then I played Dread.
Oh, God.
I'm pretty sure I had done, like, all 4 of those back-to-back, and then I waited a couple months and did Dread. And there are even more challenges for people who like that, the DLCs, and that's not for me. I'll be, like, clear about I got the bad ending, but I got a ending. You know, like, I got an ending, and I saw the credits on my own volition. Yes. And so, like, I was happy with that. I think the visuals of this game, beautiful. Yes. The music is beautiful. Also can be hauntingly beautiful. I'm thinking of the Dirtmouth theme when you first come in, but they can be equally exciting when you're like doing boss battles, like with the Mantis Lords. Like there's so many good tracks in this game, and I think it's clear how it takes inspiration from Metroid, but I also feel like it innovates in a different way and kind of makes its own statement. And then that I've not played a lot of Castlevanias, but I know that Metroidvania is something that's like kind of had a resurgence, I feel like, since Hollow Knight. And I think it still has an identity that's strongly its own and something that's not just another copy of Metroid or Castlevania or another Metroidvania like that. I did find it challenging. That was probably why you're not sure if I liked it or not. But I look back on the Switch and I'm like, that's a really like cool game that was on here. And again, like, you know, could I have done better service to a game that I've been talking about, bringing light to games that don't get talked about a lot? Yeah, maybe. But Hollow Knight is just as good as like you've heard people say it is. And like, I'd recommend you play it if you want to. It's challenging. And I do like that I kind of played it in the middle of that Metroid, having got that perspective of what came before. So I had played Metroid Prime. That was my first Metroid on the GameCube. And then like years later, I played through the 2D Metroids and preparation for Dread coming out because it was such a big event. So I'm pretty sure I played Zero Mission on the Wii U, and I played
that's right.
I played Samus Returns on the 3DS. Speaking of a 3DS title they need to bring to the Switch.
I agree.
I played Super Metroid on NSO, and then I played Hollow Knight, and then I played Dread on the Switch. So lots to love there in that series. And it's something like thinking about liking a Metroidvania and myself doesn't really go together in my mind, but I do like them. I don't know why. I've always seen myself as like an RPG type of guy, and like I've never really played Metroid and Metroidvanias or Metroid type games until that kind of stint, and like I like them. I don't know. I just was like not a genre I think I would have pegged myself to like, but definitely good for Hollow Knight.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It doesn't feel like an indie, but it is, because it's literally $15 on the eShop. Yeah, and it like you will get your $15 worth. Yeah. You might get negative money. Yeah. You know. And, you know, it may be the only game Team Cherry ever releases, so anyway, it's definitely a hard game, but recommend it. So we're in our top 5. Let's do a score count. Okay, I don't know how well we're doing. We're not doing very well. You got 1.5 points, and I got 1.
Now I have on my list that I should have 2.5 points.
Oh wait, what did
because I have Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and a half point.
I forgot
for
to mark
Melatonin
1 for Fire Emblem.
And I think you have, for me, you should have
1.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
Is that it?
Yes.
You didn't guess Balatro?
No.
Okay. Well. So
those are ones I might put on my list.
But. Coming in at halftime, Brent with 1 and me with 2.5. So we apparently don't know.
Yeah, you should very well.
All right, so you can start with your number 5. And before we move on, our conversation actually ran a little bit long, so this will end part 1 of our discussion. If you liked what you've heard so far, feel free to like the video and subscribe so that way you can catch up on our second part of the discussion that will be posted soon. Thank you for listening. Game on!